Okay, so we're going to talk about some congruence shortcuts today, which help in some proofs. Before we do that, let's just talk about the sides of a right triangle. So here's a right triangle. There are three sides. The two sides that are next to the 90-degree angle. So here's the 90-degree angle. The two sides that are next to that are called legs. So this is a leg and this is a leg. The side that is across from the 90-degree angle is called, it has a weird name, it's called the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is, again, always across from the 90-degree angle, so they should be across from each other. And the hypotenuse is always the longest side, but in order to identify that, you really just need to find the 90-degree angle. Then you can go from there. The other two sides are just called legs. Okay, we said last time that in order for triangles to be congruent, all their corresponding parts have to be congruent. So that's three angles and three sides. So if we look at these two triangles, which we saw last time, this would mean angle A congruent to angle, let's see, it's congruent to angle D. Angle B is congruent to angle E. And angle C is congruent to angle F. Okay, so that's three angles. The three sides would be like AB is congruent to, let's see, DE. And then BC is congruent to EF. And then AC is congruent to DF. Okay, so right now we would need to prove that six things, three angles, and then three sides are congruent in order to prove that the two triangles are congruent. And that's a lot. But thankfully, there are some shortcuts. So we're going to go over some shortcuts that you can use that cut it down from 6 down to 3. Okay, the first one is something called, we abbreviate SSS, stands for side, side, side. And the way that we do this is if you can prove that 3 sides in one triangle are congruent to 3 corresponding sides in the other triangle, then we know the 2 triangles are congruent. So this kind of long version that you see right here is what that's saying. So let's just look at this picture here. 3 pairs of congruent sides. So if this is congruent to this one corresponds to this one, and this one corresponds to this one. If we can prove that those three things are all congruent, then we can say that those 2 triangles are congruent by side, side, side. Okay, so you can see here in this picture, let's switch colors. This is congruent to this, so I have a side congruent. Okay, that's one side. And then I got this one and this one, so that would be a second side of congruent corresponding. And then this to this. Okay, so a third side. So that means these 2 triangles have to be congruent. So this one's pretty straightforward. Some of them a little bit trickier, not tons trickier, but you can see these 2 triangles are right next to each other. Well, you'll notice I see a pair here and then another pair here. So I got 2 sides. Where's the third one? Well, they share this side. So obviously that side is congruent to itself because it shares it. So you have still side, 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 3 sides would be congruent. A little bit sneakier, but that is side, side, side. So that's our first way to prove triangles are congruent. The next is side, angle, side. So this says two sides and an included angle. You'll notice here that the angle is in between the two S's. So that means in between the two sides. When we say included angle here, that means it has to be in between the two sides that you're talking about. So for example, if we look at this picture, let's say I have a side here and a side here, and let's do this side maybe and this side, then the angle would have to be in between those two sides. It has to be in the middle, so it would have to be this one and this one. Then I could say side, angle, side, side, angle, side. They have to match up, so it has to be in that order. Now, if I picked two other sides in this triangle, they have to do a different angle. Okay, so here would be a triangle where, two triangles where you could do side, angle, side. Why? You don't see an angle, do you? Nope, but these two are congruent because they are vertical angles. They're across from each other. Across, right? Vertical angles are always congruent. So then I can say side, and then angle, and then side. It goes in that order. It needs to stay in that side, angle, side. So those two triangles will be congruent by side, angle, side. The next one is angle, side, angle. So here you have two, let's switch this. There we go. Two angles. And this side time we have included side. So the side has to be in between the two angles. And it has to be in that order. It doesn't work. So two angles and an included side. So let's say this angle and this angle, and then this angle and this angle. We know we got two. So that means the side, based on angle, side, angle, would have to be in between the two angles, always. So in order to use that angle, side, angle, the side has to be included or inside the two angles. Okay, so here I have two triangles. They're kind of weirdly turned around. But notice they also, again, share this side here. So I have an angle here, an angle here. Okay. I have a side that they share. So I have angle, side. And then lastly, I have this and this. So another angle. So I do have angle, side, angle. And it has to go in that order. So that's our third one. The last two are angle, angle, side. So angle, angle, and then side. So that's two angles and the side opposite them are congruent. So as long as the side's not inside the two angles, then you're good. So angle, angle, side would be like, let's say, angle, angle, and then side, the next one. So angle, angle, side. In this situation, you can see that here I have an angle, and then they share this side here, right? So it goes angle, angle, and then side. And then that same way, can rotate around that same way here. So I do have an angle, angle, side. Okay, and then lastly, hypotenuse leg. Hypotenuse leg only works for right triangles. It has to be a right triangle, so that's a super important part because you only have a hypotenuse when you have a right triangle. So in order for this to work, the hypotenuse and any one leg of the right triangle are congruent. So I have two right triangles, first part, and then the hypotenuses have to be the same, and either one of the legs. So it could be this one and this one, or you could say this one and this one. Doesn't matter. But if you have hypotenuse and a leg, then you can say, hey, they're congruent. So this cuts it down to three things, couple things to note. There is no ASS or angle, angle, angle. So no angle, side, side, or no angle, angle, angle. If you see either of those things, you cannot prove that the triangles are congruent. Okay, So we're just going to practice looking at triangles and determining which of those ones that we're talking about. Okay, so I have determined which shortcut proves the triangle is congruent, if any. So here, if I look at this triangle, I've got a side. Let's switch to my pen here. A side, an angle, and then another side. And then if I go in that same order, side, an angle, and a side. So it looks like I can use side, angle, side. Okay. When the two triangles are separated, it's easier, but if they're like right next to each other, like this picture right here, it can be a little bit trickier. So I've got an angle. Well, notice they share this side, so we can say that they're congruent. And then I got an angle, I got another angle, and then a side. And I want to see if I can do that. Angle, angle, yep, side. So it's angle, angle, side. Okay. This picture, I see a right triangle. If you see two right triangles, then the first thing you should test is hypotenuse leg, because it might be that. You'll notice I have a hypotenuse here and here, because it's across from the 90-degree angle, right? Okay. And then I got one of the legs is congruent here and here. So that means I can use hypotenuse leg. And you're done with that one. Okay, this one. I got a congruent side because they share that. So this one, side here, I've got an angle and then another side. If I can go this same way for the other side, angle, side. So this would be side, angle, side. Okay. All right, a few others. Let's see if we can get these. They share this side, so that has to be the same. So all I see is side, side, side. Side, side, side. Yep, so this is side, side, side. Okay, they share this one again. So let's see. I got an angle, I got a side, an angle, side, and a side. So ASS. Remember, there is no angle, side, side, no S. So that's not a thing. So these are not congruent. Can't use angle, or angle, side, side. Okay. And then this one, let's see, we've got an angle, they share a side, and an angle. And then angle, share a side, and an angle. So angle, side, angle. Okay, so there we go. That's just practicing using those things. And then the other thing sometimes you'll need to be able to do is this. They'll ask to state what additional information is needed to know that the two triangles are congruent for the given reason. And here they want us to use, you can see side, angle, side. So in order for that to happen, I have an angle, okay? I need the angle to be in between the two sides. So they share this, okay? So then I would need the angle to be in the middle. So I already have a side here. If I go to an angle, then I would need this side to be congruent. So if I go that same way, I start with this side on the other triangle, then to the angle, and then it would have to go to this one. So the thing that I would need is that I would need segment LA to be congruent to segment, I want to do it in the same order, KJ. Then I could use side, angle, side. Okay, let's try one more of those. This time it's angle, side, angle. We're sharing a side. And that side has to be inside the two angles, right? So I would need this if I start with this angle, then I have a side, I would need another angle here. So that would mean I would need to know that this is congruent to this. Okay, so that would be, I can't just say angle A, right? Because that could mean this angle or this. So I have to use 3 letters. And remember, A should be in the middle of the vertex. So I want to say angle BAC. So BAC is this angle here. So then that needs to be congruent to angle ABK. Okay. Now we've got it. That's it. Those are the shortcuts. Oh, here's another one. Let's do one more. Hypotenuse leg. So we see 2 right triangles. That's key. I need the hypotenuses to be the same. They currently are not. Oh, right now I have a leg congruent. So I need the hypotenuses to be the same, which are always across from the 90-degree angle. So that would be XY would have to be congruent to WT. Okay, and that's it. All right, I hope that makes sense. Practice this by doing the assignment. Good luck. See ya.